Hello everybody, this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and it is Christmas time. Okay, I know it's not Christmas time. It's only September, and I am definitely not into rushing the season. I love fall. I love fall crafting. I love everything about fall, and I'm definitely not in a hurry for Christmas to be here. But I also have a very large Christmas card list. If you watched my video back in July about Christmas in July, I mentioned that my goal is to do 10 Christmas cards a week because I have so many to do, and I figured by then, once I had enough, I would stop. Well, I haven't even taken the time to do 10 a week, but I do have 10 more to share with you today. And so let's jump in and get started on it. And then the next time I have 10 more ready, we'll do 10 more. So I used quite a few things. I actually started these cards when I was on vacation, and I was just sitting outside at a picnic table, and I stamped my images using my VersaFine black ink, I believe is what I used at that time. And then I pulled out my watercolors. Now remember, because I'm a consultant, I got a sneak peek of these. These weren't even out yet when I did the watercoloring, but it was so fun to just sit out and enjoy the outdoors and watercolor in the outdoors. So I love this set of watercolors, and you can go to djsundry.ctmh.com and order your set, and I hope you will love them as much as I do. I used a couple of old stamp sets from Close to My Heart. These are not currently available, although if they are available, sometimes with the discontinued stamps, if they have some back stock, you might be able to still find them. If there's back stock available, I'll put the link on my blog. So head over to djsundry.com and see if they are still available. But the ones that I used were Sing Glory. And I just simply used this very simple Merry Christmas in that. And then I used To You and Yours, and I used the Cardinal in that. And again, I just stamped all of that in black VersaFine. So let's put the card together now. I have it all cut and ready to go. So the first thing that I have here is my card base. This is a colonial white card base. And on top of that, I have a piece of, I believe it's ruby cardstock. Now I forgot, I apologize. It's either ruby or cranberry. Either would work with this card, and both would look gorgeous. But it's one of the two. The colors are very close, but not exactly, and I can't remember which one it is. But this piece is just cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4. To show just a little border. Now the very first card that I did in this series of 10, I did not put this piece on here, and I have to tell you that for a simple look of elegance, and just it provides more weight to the card to add it, and it really makes a difference. I'll show you both cards at the end of the video, and you can be the judge on if you want to take that extra time and the extra paper to do it. For me, it's very worth it because I just like that extra pop that it gets. I've already done my stamping, and it says Merry Christmas, and this paper is from Yuletide Carol, which also is a discontinued card stock. But it's beautiful, and I love it, and I wanted to use it even if it was discontinued, because it's not all about selling stuff. It's about using the products that I love, and I love this paper. So we will put that down just like so. And then, and it looks like I must have lost it, so let me pull out my Yuletide Carol here. I cut some strips from different, I actually used, I believe, the border strip from the top, and I had it all cut and ready, and apparently I put it somewhere. So I'm just going to recut another strip. So let me grab my paper trimmer, and this is just to give it another dimension, and I cut it to the inside. Now this one is 3 3/4 inches, and I know this is going off camera because I don't have a lot of room here. But since this piece of cardstock is 3 3/4 inches, then the strip that I'm going to make is also going to be 3 3/4 inches. And it's roughly 3/4 inches wide is the way I did this when I cut it. So it just provides a little bit more separation. It's something that you actually see very little of, so you may choose to leave it off, and that's perfectly appropriate too. Whatever you like to do is fine. Now I cut it just a little bit shy, so I'm just going to kind of make it fit. And then this is the layer from Elegant Edges. I believe that this one is cut at 4 or 4.5 inches. I can't remember because I did this a few days ago and then I just didn't have time to make the video when I did it. But that was based on This Is My Stamped and Watercolored Image. So what I did is I set up Elegant Edges, which is an oldie but a goodie Cricut cartridge, one that I've had for several years and I really like it. And the Cricut has the center point feature where you can move the blade over to the center of your image and click the button that says center point, and then click your size, and it will go outside of the image. It will move itself outside of the image when you go to cut it, and then it will cut around it. So it's a little bit tricky because you have to be sure that you're pretty close to the center. If I was to make these again, now that I know that I can't use a Spellbinders, because I had a Spellbinders that I had planned to use and it fit this just perfectly, but it was the largest one in that particular set, and so I couldn't make a frame because it wasn't bigger unless I free cut it. So that's why I chose this option. And using Elegant Edges is I love the cartridge. So it's a little bit tricky, and I definitely recommend that you try with a scratch piece of paper, or perhaps stamp your image on something that you don't care about, just a piece of scratch paper, and play with it a little bit before you, if like me, your images are already completely painted. You don't want to take the chance of messing them up, because sometimes they don't end up being perfectly centered. And some of mine didn't end up being perfectly centered, but we just went with it, and in fact, I doubt if any of them were perfectly centered. Now, this is watercolor paper that I painted this on. This is not close to my heart watercolor paper. I hadn't ordered it at the time that I made these. This is just simple, I think it's Strathmore watercolor paper. And so it is a little, because it's textured the way it is, that's why I used the extra adhesive on the white piece so that I wouldn't it wouldn't fall off. So this was my original completed card, something like this, and I felt like it needed just a little bit more pop, so I went digging through my stash, and I honestly thought I was going to get bling out, but I didn't really like the idea of creating the extra bulk of the bling, especially since I'm mailing so many cards. I'm trying to be as economical as possible with it. But when I was going through my stash, I found this package of sequins. This is a multicolor package of sequins, and quite frankly, I believe I've had it for quite a while. I think I just purchased it at Walmart or something in the craft section. It's a multicolored one. It looks like this. And so you kind of have to fish out the colors that you want, which is fine. It just took a few minutes to do that. And I really like that extra pop that these sequins give to the card. Whoops. I did not need that much gloss effects, but I can clean that up in a minute. But I really like that extra little punch of festivity, I guess you would call it, that it gives, without adding bulk. So I believe, be able to mail this without any postage, or any extra postage. But most importantly, I don't have to worry about it getting ruined in the mail, because I've noticed sometimes with some of the bulkier glitter, or not glitter, but bling that's out there, that sometimes it kind of comes through the envelope when things get mailed. So there we have this very simple, well, pretty simple, but I really like the elegance of this card. So let me show you some of the others. I'm just going to set that one aside. A little bit of variation. Like I said, I set this while I was sitting at a picnic table on vacation, and I couldn't remember what color a cardinal's beak was. I thought it was black, but I thought, I better check. And so I left the beak. I colored all this black part that you see when I painted. It was actually all painted red. And I left the beak completely clear because I didn't have even cell service where I was. And then later I Googled it and found out that that should have been red and on the beak. And the part that I had colored red was black. So I just grabbed a black marker. Actually, I think I may have grabbed my Zig marker. It could have been my Close to My Heart one, and just went back and went over the red with a black marker. And I think it looks great. So that's some of them. Pretty much the same, but I decided to switch it up a little bit, and I added some green ones as the alternate color instead of red. And then on those that I added green, you'll notice that I used red sequins instead of the green sequence to kind of tie it together. So I kind of mixed them up a little bit. Some of them had the Merry Christmas on the bottom, some of them had them on the top, depending on the underlying paper, because the sheet of paper that I cut it with had different tones of green, and that's something to think about. Some of them, like if you notice on this card in particular, this is a little bit darker and this is more faded on the side, and that's the way the paper's designed. So I wanted my stamping to go on the more faded part, so I just adjusted the card to match. So there we have the 9 of those, all pretty much the same. But what I wanted to show you is the difference in the original one I had designed. This is the original one I had designed, and you'll notice I kind of went around the watercoloring with blue on the outside, that's fun. I really like that. But this is when, after I had put this one together, I thought it's just missing something. And that's when I decided to add that extra matte. And I think it makes all the difference in the world to have just that extra little bit right there. So there's a tip, just a little bit of extra matte. And sometimes you can even get by, for instance, had I cut this frame out of the center of that matte, it would have been even a better savings of paper, because then I would have covered up the hole with my printed paper and nobody would have been the wiser. So had I been thinking ahead, that's exactly what I would have done. I would have cut each one of the red mats and then cut the center out of it with my frame, but because it was an addition later, I couldn't do that. So there we have one more set of 10 Christmas cards ready to go when December 1st or the first week of December rolls around. So thanks so much for stopping by today, and remember, take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day. Bye.